Greetings. I'm David Kong, the founder and principal of DEI Advisors. We are a nonprofit organization dedicated to personal empowerment. Today, we're delighted to welcome Miraj Patel. He is the president of Wayside Investment Group. He is also the incoming chairman of the Asian American Hotel Owners Association. Miraj is well known in the industry. He has received a lot of accolades for his philanthropic and advocacy work. And he's also recognized by Hotel Management, a trade publication, as one of the 30 under 30 top rising stars of the industry. Miraj, it's a pleasure to welcome you to our show.
Thank you, David, for having me on your show. I have been following this show for some time now, and I was very excited when you reached out, and so I really appreciate this. And it's good seeing you, as always.
Thank you, Miraj. I know this is going to be a great interview. Let's talk about your career journey. Now, Miraj, I know you're second generation hotelier. I know your parents well. They're fantastic people. And I know you also received your bachelor and master degree from Johnson & Wales. Would you mind to share some highlights of your career journey and share some of those key learnings?
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up in a 30-room independent hotel. In this 30-room independent hotel, I was taught more than just renting rooms, cleaning rooms, but it taught me my life lessons, such as hard work, honesty, and dedication. I saw the struggles that my parents went through to live up to standards so that we can have a better life in this country. They're truly the definition of the American dream, just like many of the AAHOA members. And that is where I got my passion for the lodging industry. At a very young age, I knew that this is the industry I want to be in. This is the industry where I would like to see where we can take what was started and see where we can take it for the moving forward, just like the same thing for a lot of the AAHOA members as well. Therefore, as time went by, not only was I able to help my parents in their businesses, but I took many internship opportunities as well in different ownership groups where I was able to bring a new, fresh perspective in high school. After that, I was able to convince my father. One of the things that we always talk about is when we talk about which degree you would like to focus on or achieve, many times people pick something outside of the hotel business because they feel we grew up in the industry, we know it from A to Z. But the way I looked at it is there's a different perspective out there. And if you don't go and try it, you won't really know. When I sat down with my parents, I had told them that I would like to go and attend Johnson & Wales University in North Miami, Florida, to study hotel and lodging management. And right off the bat, they said, you've never been to Miami and you want to move there for 4 years and to study what we've already know. So, but my dad gave me a funny story and said, when growing up, he wanted to be an accountant. He wanted to study accounting. He's a big math person, but he was forced to go and study engineering because at the time when many people would go back to India, like my mom, who went back to India to get married to my father, the demand at the time for the arranged marriages was somebody in the engineering field. So for my dad, he had no choice. He said, if I don't get an engineering degree, the chances of me going to America are slight. And so because of that, he was forced into studying one thing where he really wanted to study accounting. So for me, he said, look, I don't mind. If this is what you want to do, I support you. You have the choices. And the reason why we didn't have the choices and we went through what we went through was so that you guys have the choices today. And so I was very thankful and grateful for my parents. And when I made that decision, I think it was one of the best decisions I made in my life. I was able to go and explore a city, learn the business that I love the most in a city where we had all kinds of segmentations. So while I was studying, I did my hotel and lodging management. And then I also did my master's in business administration with a concentration in hospitality. And in that meantime, I also took many internships in colleges as well. So it was a fresh perspective, a different way to think. And I think in today's time, when you mix experience plus education, it's the perfect key to creating a different way of thinking.
That's really well said. Your thirst for knowledge and your new perspective on so many different things and your parents' inspiration, they're all key factors to your success. And by the way, your parents are not only inspirations to you, they're inspirations to a lot of people. And they must be so proud of you, Miraj.
I try my best, David.
Let's talk about the secret to your success, because you are relatively young. Will you be the youngest AAHOA chair?
Yes, I will be. And that is a blessing.
I think so. Yeah, I know most of the chairperson of AAHOA, and I do believe that you're the youngest. Congratulations. I'm just wondering if you can share the secret to your success.
I think the secret to success is just to stay committed to your dream, your goals, and your aspirations. If you have something in your mind that this is what I want to achieve, do whatever it takes and not give up. There's going to be many challenges along the way, but you have to keep your head clear and stay focused on making it happen. Being young, being a young professional, the idea that I'll be the youngest chairman is not just an idea, but it's a way to create a new way of thinking in the young professional's perspective. That something like AHOA, it's not just for one age bracket, it's for multiple age brackets, including the young professionals. Because as we move forward, like in the lodging industry, the idea is that the first gen take over after the first generation, the second generation take over the family business. Same thing in the Asian American Hotel Owners Association. The idea is that the new blood, the new perspectives, the new thinking also come a long way. And so my hope is that being the youngest chairman is not just to say that I'm the youngest chairman. It's so that we can motivate more young people to join, because the young professionals have a different way of thinking, different perspective. They have a different attitude. And I call it the try it attitude. We simply just try it. We're not afraid. And if you don't try it, you don't know. And I think that's one of my biggest pillars, that as I leave, as I start my chairmanship and when I leave, my hope is that I do encourage more young people, not only to join the hotel business, but also to join AAHOA and the leadership roles.
That's very well said. And we're going to talk about trying anything or taking risk later on. But I love everything that you just said. Now, Harvard Business Review had an article about the imposter phenomena. People who are very successful yet feel that they are really not qualified to be in their positions and they didn't deserve the promotions. And that happens a lot in women and also in the underrepresented groups. And I was just wondering if you have ever had the imposter syndrome. If so, how do you overcome that negative self-talk?
Absolutely. When you have folks out there that are doubting you, especially because of your age, your gender, or whatever that may be, it does get to some people. But my opinion is to, again, stay focused on what you want to achieve. You're going to find ways out there. There's going to be obstacles out there. There's no doubt about that. Every successful individual, everyone attempting to be successful, are going to get roadblocks in the way. But the way you think of it is take that as motivation. Take the negativity, take the naysayers, take the doubters, take any obstacle that comes in the way and find that, put that in an avenue to say, I'm more motivated. How do I overcome this challenge? How do I prove myself? When I was running for AAHOA, many of the things that I heard was, he's very young. He doesn't have experience. How is he going to represent us? And they are completely valid. I completely agree with them that I am young. But age for me wasn't my disadvantage. It was my biggest advantage. And that's the perspective that I kept in my mind. Same thing for women hoteliers. Under my chairmanship coming up, one of my biggest way of thinking is how do we empower the women hoteliers? Because there's going to be naysayers out there, but look at ways to take that negativity, self-talk to yourself and say, how do I prove myself? And how do I ensure that I keep that as a motivational factor? Don't let that get to you in a negative way, but take that into positive and say, if somebody's doubting me, if somebody says, hey, I'm too young or I'm not experienced, prove it to them. Convince them that you are the person that can lead. You are the person that can take that goal and make the best out of it and serve in the best of your ability, or any other over challenges that you have to overcome.
I love that. Absolutely love that. You were able to take those criticisms or doubts and turn them into motivation, and you actually turn it around and made your disadvantage an advantage. I really liked everything that you just said. That's so true.
David, even in today's time, I thank everyone that had the negative comments or that had the negative thought process. And it's okay. There's nothing wrong with it, right? You look at the positive way, because if you start thinking about the negatives, you yourself start thinking negative. In fact, you look around and say, let's take that into positivity. How do I convince this person or that person or in the general public? And so I look at it and say, thank you. Thank you for motivating me and making me a stronger person overall.
Yeah, that's great. Welcoming the criticism, because that's actually motivation for you to try even harder. That's really good. Do you have personal mantra that guide your decision?
Yes, there is. There's a quote by someone, a businessman based in India named Dhirubhai Ambani. And his quote was, if you don't build your own dream, someone will hire you to build theirs. And so for me,
Mm.
along at a very young age, I learned of this quote while I was in boarding school in India. I spent 1 year in boarding school in India. And at the time, this quote came into my attention when I was about 11 years old. And since that day, I instilled that quote as a personal mantra and said, okay, everything I do in life, use this as a way to say, if I don't build my own dream, someone else is going to build it for me, or someone else will hire me to build it for them. So every step of the way, every decision I make in life, I think back to this quote, and this is what is a big driving factor for me.
That's great. If you don't build your dream, you'll be hired by someone else to build theirs. That is just such a wonderful saying. Now, we all suffered from challenges and setbacks. Can you share what your general approach is when you face challenges and setbacks?
Stay positive. When there is challenges and setbacks, people automatically panic. People automatically think, what's going to happen? How am I going to overcome this? I should give up. But I look at it in a different manner. I say, this is great. How do I overcome this? There's a negativity out there. How do I turn that negative into a positive? That's the way I view it. And in my opinion, challenges and setbacks are good. That's the way I look at them. Because if you don't have challenges and setbacks, then you will never be able to actually, learn and be the best that you can be. Because challenges and setbacks actually end up sculpting you to be even better. And so you're more prepared, you're more confident. And so that is the way I look at it. And that's my general approach, because in every step of the way, you will find challenges and setbacks. And when you do have them, find a way to make it the best out of a learning opportunity for yourself. I
Well
mean, if you
said.
don't have
It
challenges
is,
and setbacks, then life is easy, right? And it's not fun when life is easy.
and you never grow, like you said.
Absolutely.
And you're right, challenges and setbacks are inevitable, and it's how we face them that defines us. And I like what you said about looking at them as learning opportunities and staying positive. It's really important, not just for us, but for those around us too.
Absolutely.
Now, you talked a little bit about taking risks earlier. Can you elaborate on that? What are your tips for taking risks?
There's a saying out there that's very common: bigger the risk, bigger the reward. That's the way I view everything. The way I look at everything is, if you don't try, you will not know. And that's where I came up with this thing where the new generation needs to have the let's just try it approach. Let's just try it attitude. If you don't know, if you don't try, you'll never know if this is going to be a successful thing or not. And if it doesn't success, if there's not success in there, it's okay. You got an opportunity to learn from it. But you would have never known if you don't try. And so when it comes to risk taking, I believe that every step of the way, you will, at the end of the day, have a way or have a decision to make. Do I need to take this risk? And risk taking is what's going to be able to let you know if you're able to accomplish it, or you end up learning from it if you do fail. And if you fail, pick yourself back up and try it again. And another approach.
Yeah, that's good advice. I like that very much. Now, anyone listening to this is going to feel your passion and your positive energy. And I've certainly known that about you. And lots of people have commented on that as well. It's something that's really admirable. And I was wondering if you were born with that passion and positive energy, or was it something that you had to cultivate?
Part of me says I was born with it at a very young age. I just was very much passionate and full of energy. And I maintained that energy and passion even through the obstacles, right? But growing up, I grew up watching many leaders in the lodging industry, in AAHOA, in the community, whether that be in America or back home in India. I was always intrigued and would look out for these leaders that I grew up watching and look at how they did it. And at a very young age, I kept thinking to myself, if they can do it, why can't I do it? It's not rocket science, right? There must be a way where I can accomplish this as well. So if there's one individual where I felt looking down in the audience or sitting down in the audience and watching them on the stage and seeing all their accomplishments or reading about them in a magazine or the internet or whatever that may be, I kept thinking to myself, if that person can do it, I know I can do it. There's no way that I can't do it. And so I kept that in my mind. And so I think it was something that I was taught, but also I in myself just got engaged to it. And having that mentality of everything is possible is what continued to keep me energized and passionate. There would be times where I would think, is this step worth it? Is this something that really will help me, help others, etc.? But at the end of the day, I keep thinking back and saying, let's look at the positives. And keeping that energy is what people will judge you by. Because if you look down or if you feel that I'm discouraged or I don't have the energy, people will realize that. And people love confidence, people love energy. And if you're able to convince people and energize people, then people will automatically say, you know what, you're right, let's continue the path, right? And for me, giving up is not an option. It's simply not an option. If there's obstacles, let's find a different approach. And not having the energy is not an option for me as well. The more energized I am, I can get the people around me energized with me, right? And so as I take on the leadership role in AAHOA as a chairperson, that's one of my biggest things, because if the person leading the organization is not energized or is not focused or is not positive, then what does that do for the 20,000 members, the 60% of the hotels in America? Will everybody agree with you? No, that's simply the truth, right? Would we try? Yes. But if you're able to convince the people and say, guys, let's work together, let's collaborate, and let's move forward, stay positive and continue to engage with what we need to work on, then only people will say, let's support this. Let's support the leadership. Let's support the organization.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And to me, if you don't have the passion and positive energy, it would be difficult for you to become a leader. You have to project that in order to motivate people around you. And you're right, your passion and energy, they are contagious. They would affect those around you. They get excited too when they see you excited. Very well put.
There was an individual in college that told me one thing: energy and passion is like a virus. And if you're able to convince people around you, it'll automatically go around. People will take any approach, but the approach you want them to take is stay motivated and energized with you along the way, because we're only stronger together. If you're working together and feeling the same way, things automatically start becoming realistic.
Yes, so true. Now, Miraj, I've seen you in action. You have a very effective way that you connect with people when you speak, whether it's in a meeting situation or on stage giving a speech. I was wondering if you can share some tips, because a lot of people struggle with that. They find it difficult to speak to a crowd, or they find it difficult to connect with people and be more persuasive. Can you share some tips on how you do it?
Absolutely. Public speaking is something that you have to look at it in a way where, this is the way I look at it. Tips like just being honest with the people, right? Good news or bad news, just be honest. Being straightforward, not sugarcoating things. People appreciate it. Will everybody agree? Probably not. And it's okay. But if you don't tell everyone what your thoughts are, then you will never know, right? And if there's people that don't agree with you, let's talk about how we can fix that. But the way I look at public speaking is, that's my opportunity to shine. That's my opportunity to let the public know how I feel and what I want to do, or what we think as a collective group, right? If you look at it as an opportunity of, I don't know what people will say, I don't know what people will think, then you won't be able to really convey the message. So look at it as a perspective, look at it a way and change your perspective and turn that into a positive and say, that's my time. Speaking on that microphone, that's going to be my opportunity to shine. And once you instill that in your brain, you automatically be able to convey and convince people. Like I said, many people, maybe some people will not be convinced, and it's completely fine. But that's your opportunity, and use that as a way to say, this is my time to shine, and this is my time to finally get my message out there as well, or my perspective out there.
I like that very much. Attitude is everything. And to turn a fear into, it's my time, it's my moment to shine, that's really something. That's a different way of thinking about it, and that's very motivational. Thank you. Now, you have a vast network and you connect well with people. Can you share some tips on networking?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the way I look at it is, networking is key. That is something that AAHOA provides for our membership. And that is something that I feel that will lead to a lot of success, bringing people together, finding that network, building your network. And the bigger your network, the bigger your brand gets, right? Your identity. But my tip for networking is it's not just about meeting somebody and shaking their hand and call it a day. It's about finding a way to connect with that one individual and leaving an impression with that one individual. You have to find a way to make sure that person that you just met with remembers you and you remember them. It goes both ways. And so if that means finding a way to say, where's your hotel? Where do you live? Where are some of your other hotels, or whatever that may be? Find a way to connect with that person. Some people find ways to connect with them with shared experiences or shared passion, or whether that be your favorite football team, whatever that may be. Find a way to connect with that person and make sure it's not just a handshake or giving each other business cards. Find a way to make sure that person knows you and you know them, because you never know when that network will be able to help you.
So true. Somebody had said on this show, your network is your net worth. It's not what you know, it's whom you know. That is so true. And I appreciate the tips on networking. It is about personal relationships. You've got to find ways to connect with a person that you're speaking with. It's not about numbers, it's about the one-on-one relationship. Very well put. Now, you alluded to this earlier. You had a chance to observe a lot of exceptional leaders as you were coming up the ladder, and you had chances to work with some of these people. What are some of the qualities of these exceptional leaders that you admire the most?
I think the number one thing is courage. Um, I've seen many leaders with a lot of courage, even though someone may, or some way, some shape or form, would try to break the courage, but just leaders staying motivated and showing the confidence level. I think that's what I really admire the most, because when somebody's confident, it automatically drives people around them to be confident as well. And the other thing that I really admire in many of these leaders that I was able to work with is strategic thinking, right? Finding a strategy and then making decisions. I think the more prepared you are, the more confident you will be. If you're not prepared, people will see it and you yourself will feel it. You're not confident, and confidence goes a long way. So some of these things that I've seen over the years, I was able to also learn from them as well. With many of the accomplished leaders I was able to work with, and I still stay in touch with them, because many of their advices is what's guiding me, right? And it's okay to ask for advice. Many people shy away and think that maybe I know it the best, but no, try to get many people around you, many accomplished leaders, and understand where their perspective is. And then at the end of the day, you can make your own decision. But if you don't get everybody's perspective, then it's hard for you to build your own thought process.
That is true. If you don't ask for feedback and different opinions, there's no way you can make the best decision. And I like what you said about courage being an important attribute to exceptional leaders, because if you don't have courage, you really can't take on any big task, and nobody is going to be impressed with you or want to follow you. So that is so true. And you also mentioned about being prepared, because that gives you confidence, and your confidence can inspire those around you. That is also true. Thanks for sharing those tips. Now, you've worked with a lot of great people. You have had mentors. Your parents are great mentors to you. What is the best advice that you ever received?
Whatever you do, be the best at it. And that is considered in many other factors, right? One of my biggest things that my parents have taught me along the way is just be honest. Honesty is the key to success in their teachings. As I grew up, every single thing starts with honesty. It may then end up with hard work and dedication and commitment, but honesty is what's going to build you, because your reputation is something that you have to protect. And reputation comes from you being honest. Money, how many hotels you own, all of that stuff, that can come and go. But your reputation is key. And so at a very young age, my parents have taught me and my brother in our family that if you're not honest, you'll never be able to succeed. And whatever you do, the best that you can. So that means whether that be schooling, whether that be in my role as a chairman next year, whether that be in business, whatever that is. Be honest and be the best and the most, give it all that you can, best of your ability. Give it 110%. Don't give it 90% or 80%. Otherwise, don't do it. And at a young age, I thought about it and I said, yeah, you're right. Whatever I take on, I must do the best I can, because then it's not worth it. And then you don't want to let people down around you as well.
It's uncanny. My parents actually instilled the same values in me. They have often said that if people can't trust you, you have nothing. Honesty, integrity is what makes you trustworthy and dependable. And always do your best. I like that very much. Thank you for sharing that. Now, regrettably, we're running out of time, so I wanted to ask you one last question. Our show is about personal empowerment. Can you share one last piece of advice on self-empowerment?
The one piece of advice is use challenges, use negativity, and turn that into positivity. Use that as a source to motivate yourself to chase that dream or that goal or that ambition even more. Keep in mind, everything is possible. Things will come in along the way and you can deal with them and you can hear about it and you can take that into consideration, but don't let that bring you down, because then you're never going to be able to achieve what you want to achieve, right? So everything that comes along the way, the naysayers, the negativity, or whatever that may be, use that, make it positive, and continue to let that be the driving force behind achieving that perspective or that goal.
I absolutely love that. Your passion and dedication shines right through when you were making those comments. It is so true. If you have passion, you can turn that negativity into positivity. Thank you for sharing that. I can see why, at such a young age, you are elected to be the next chairman of the Asian American Hotel Owners Association, an organization that's got over 20,000 members, the largest trade association in our industry. I think AAHOA is going to benefit tremendously from your passion and your dedication, as well as your wisdom. Thank you for being on our show, Miraj.
Thank you for having me, David. And I really appreciate this opportunity. And I really do appreciate seeing you.
Thank you, Miraj. We wish you the best in your new role as the chairman of AAHOA. And for the audience, if you enjoy this show, we hope you join us on our website, deiadvisors.org. Thank you again, Miraj.